Greetings, Adam Stark here, Stark Command Center, and I got some time to kill, so I want to do this. I want to make another video about Kung Fu movies. Now, I've made one in the past, but a lot has changed since then, so I want to redo it and make a whole new one, make it better. So, alright, I want to talk about the top 10 Kung Fu movies, as in, like, Kung Fu movies that are on a 10 out of 10, or maybe a 9 out of 10, as in, they're just that good. They're just that brilliantly created, made, edited, choreographed, etc. And I also want to show people something. I'm not doing this to brag, but I want to show people Kung Fu films that I've purchased personally, just to show that, hey, I'm a paying customer, so my opinion should mean something, okay? So for starters here, I'm going to go on Amazon Prime. Okay, now you see, Adam, you see purchases. Okay, you see I got all the John Wick movies, 5 Element Ninjas. I'm going to go through these here because these are all movies that I've purchased, as you can see. And these I consider to be 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 Kung Fu films. Now I'm going to go over to Apple TV because Prime Video, Apple TV, and YouTube/Google TV, which is the same thing, as well as Movies Anywhere, it's called. They all got different stuff on there, and some overlap, and they all have amazing stuff in. And I should mention, too, all these are dubbed in English. Me, personally, I will only buy it if I can have an English dubbed version, because... and I know not all these are Kung Fu movies. Some of these movies I actually got years ago as birthday gifts and stuff. Like that one. Like, that's not a Kung Fu movie, but I had that as a gift. Same with that one. Got that for my birthday over a decade ago. But anyways, I just want to show that real quick. And then I'll show you on my Google TV, which is the same as YouTube. You can use either one. It's no difference. And so... in my Google TV library, you can see like Dragon Lord, Rumble in the Bronx, The Raid 2, and The Raid 2 dubbed in English. Fist of Legend, which is only on YouTube and Google TV for some reason. Okay, I just want to show everybody that. Again, not to brag, I just want to show that so you know, hey, I'm a paying customer, so my opinion should mean something. That's all I'm getting at. My opinion should mean something when I talk about this stuff. So, all right, now here's the thing, right? So, Kung Fu movies absolutely changed my life, changed my perspective on films as a whole and everything. And what makes it even more crazy is it's not like I grew up with these. I'm the opposite. I came to these very late, very late. I've seen just a few Kung Fu movies when I was younger. They were okay, but I wasn't that impressed. I didn't think it had much to offer. And I'm eating my words, because obviously I was wrong. But the few Kung Fu movies I saw growing up, I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool, whatever. But no, it's not like amazing. It's not like these are something I'm going to invest a crap load of time into or anything like that. You know what I mean? And, sorry, I thought I shut my door all the way. But... you know, like that. But anyways, so I had the opposite of most people. Most people grew up with these movies and then they love them and cherish them forever, and it you know, molded them to. But not me. I didn't have that. Unless you want to include The Matrix. I've always loved The Matrix. I know I was too young. I was 10 years old when I saw that. I was too young to actually supposed to be able to see it, but you know, it is what it is. I had a connect and I saw it, and I've been watching it every year ever since then. You know, it is a great movie. If you count that as a Kung Fu movie, then okay, I've always loved that movie. But I don't know. It's more, to me, it's more of a science fiction movie than a Kung Fu movie. But it does have Wu Ping doing the choreography and whatever. But I'm getting off topic. My point is, I had the opposite. I wasn't impressed by it based on what I saw. I need to make that clear. Based on the ones that I've seen, I was like, it's not for me. This isn't my genre, you know? And that's not offensive. That's just how it went. And, you know, it's just like anything else in life. Music, video games, right? As many as there are to pick from, there's always going to be crappy ones in the mix. It's always going to be that. And sometimes there's more crap than good in a genre. And of any, media, you know. Anyway, so that's just how it went. Now, in after years of trying to find movies, because there's so many, right? Uh, I got big into finding old movies. I loved old movies. Like Alfred Hitchcock is my favorite director of all time. I think he's the greatest director of all time because think about the limitations he had with technology, yet he was still able to pull off some stunning feats. I mean, it's just amazing, So like, I think he's the greatest director of all time. It has nothing to do with Kung Fu, I know that. But what I'm saying is this, right? So I went through a phase. I got all of his movies and movies similar to that weren't him, but that were his era, And I'm like, dang, I've burned through all these. Now I'm bored with movies again. I can't, I'm trying to, okay. Then 2020 came. This has nothing to do with what was going on in the world at the time. That's just a coincidence. What happened was I was seeing clips online people were putting of Jackie Chan doing some crazy stuff. And see, what I have seen of Jackie Chan before that was Rush Hour and Rush Hour 2 and Rush Hour 3. And I actually saw Rush Hour 3 in theaters with my family. And I wasn't that impressed. It just, those movies were like, whatever. I mean, and I saw, that's right, I saw The Tuxedo and The Medallion. And it's no disrespect, but it just wasn't good. I wasn't enjoying it. I was like, okay, this is whatever. He wasn't bad or anything. It's just like the movies just weren't impressing me. So that's where it ended. And then I was seeing clips that people were putting on there, and I'm going, this is the same guy? I'm going, hold on, this is the same guy that was in these Rush Hour movies that I thought were just okay, but overall pretty forgettable. And I'm like, this is that guy? And he's doing this and this, and he's doing all these stunts, and I'm like, whoa. This guy does more movies? See, I had no idea. I was completely ignorant to, all the other movies that he has done. I had no idea. I didn't have a clue. So then I had to take a dive into his films, and that led me to everybody else. Thank goodness. And, I am going to stick with the statement I've made previously. I do think that Jackie Chan is the greatest actor of all time because he can technically do it all. So I will say that, right? I'm still going to stick with that. He gives the very most effort possible to make a laugh. He will do these insane stunts, and I'm not just talking about the dangerous ones, but I'm talking about like in Fearless Hyena, Snake in the Eagle Shadow. He'll do these crazy stunts, hard effort stunts, hurting himself and all, just for a laugh, and that has to be respected. So I'm going to give him that. And then, he's done some serious roles that are not as prominent because it's not his genre of choice, And, like The Foreigner was a movie that he did, and I thought he pulled his role off really well. You wouldn't have been able to tell it was the same person because of how he blended in as the character and stuff. So I think I still have to stick with my statement that he's the greatest actor of all time. But that being said, in Kung Fu is different. If you're just comparing Kung Fu actors, it's tough now to say. Now that I've took a deep dive into all of Kung Fu cinema, because what happened was, so obviously, like I said, I went through Jackie Chan's movies, and some of those you will see in my list, and you saw earlier when I was showing my digital movie purchases, 10 out of 10 films of his, and except Dragons Forever, but for some reason that one I can't find an English dub to buy digitally, only on DVD. So I'm out of luck there, at least for now anyway. But anyway, so that led me to Sammo Hung movies and Yuen Biu movies and Lam Ching Ying movies, and led me to Jet Li movies, Donnie Yen movies, and so I going through all of those, Golden Harvest movies. Like I completely got addicted to them in a good way, like in a healthy way, because you got to be careful with how you say things. But no, in a good way, I got completely hooked onto Golden Harvest movies, right? And when I seeing all these, and I'm going, when I finally, I only branched out to Shaw Brothers movies slightly, just slightly, because of Gordon Liu. Gordon Liu is absolutely incredible. And, when I saw all of his Shaw Brothers movies, just like almost like back to back, and he's incredible. But besides that, I didn't watch too many Shaw Brothers movies. I saw a few, like I've seen King Boxer, for example, with Lo Lei. And I saw, what other one did I see at the time? I don't want to think too hard. I'll get lost. But it's like I've seen some Shaw Brothers movies, but I had no idea they had like as many movies as they do. They have produced and sold over 1,000 films, and over 300 of them are kung fu films specifically, which is like mind blowing. So that's like Disney in the West, or excuse me, oh jeez, we're the West. Disney in the East, in the Eastern Hemisphere, is like Shaw Brothers movies, and so I didn't know, I didn't have a clue, and the kung fu movies I tried watching in the last few years after 2020, post 2000, like I just rarely can say any of them even do anything. I just really don't like a lot of, they just don't. They don't hit with me, and I see the difference. And so what it's made me change my perspective on movies as a whole, and I mean that in a good way too, just to be clear. And it's made me become a believer, honestly, because what's amazing about these movies is, I'm talking about the ones that I have, okay? All right? Is that this was in a time in the 70s and 80s and 90s. This is not necessarily the 90s, but for what I'm about to say, but this is before computers. This is before CGI. And yet they were able to do these incredible stunts, these amazing fights, better than today's fights where you have all this technology to fake fight and do CGI and chroma key, green screen, blue screen crap. But you had better fights at that time when it would have been infinitely more difficult to do so. And these long takes, these long uncut, unedited takes of, recordings of in one take where you see amazing things happen on screen. Like, I never would have believed you if you told me that there were movies like this, because like I said, the ones I saw just didn't impress me when I was young. And I had to happily eat my words and be proven wrong and be like, wow, whoa. And yeah, this journey has been great. And so this is what changed when I seeing all the ones I saw, and then sleuthing through the internet, and people are telling me about Chang Che, an amazing director. He directed 97 movies, which is absolutely incredible. Rest in peace to that legend. And he had only 3 movies short of his goal of getting 100 movies. And people were saying Chang Che is the best director of all time. And I'm going, oh, you got to be kidding me. I've gone through all these movies, all these Golden Harvest movies and Fortune movies. And I'm like, I never heard of this guy. And I'm going, oh, come on. You can't tell me I didn't believe it, because I was in my sad mode of thinking, shoot, I found them all now. That's legitimately what I thought. I thought, no, I've seen every great kung fu movie and there's no way I'm missing out on something. And I'm so happy that I had to eat my words again. And that's kind of one of the main reasons why I had to make this video. His movies are absolutely astonishing. And the Venom mob, oh my God, I had no idea. If you would have told me, again, if you would have told me that there's the 6, okay, if the 6 Venom mob actors, if you would have told me that there are 6 of them, that each one of them is just as incredible as the next, with insane acrobatics, insane skills, insane acting chops, and insane choreography and assistant directing ability and all that, I would not believe you. I wouldn't. I say, come on, you can't tell me I haven't seen another 6 people. Like, after everybody I've already seen and come to love, you're telling me there's another 6 in a group? I'm like, there's no way. I would not have believed you. I would not have believed you at all. And that's what's amazing, is I'm proven wrong happily again. And I have so much love for these movies, and you just saw what I showed you. I've purchased these movies because it is worth every penny, and shout out to Movies Anywhere too. What's nice about that app and site and resource, or whatever you want to call it, is if you buy it on there, it gives you that movie purchase on the other things I mentioned. So your YouTube/Google, which is the same thing, and your Apple TV, and your Prime Video. It puts it on all platforms, which is so cool. If the movie happens to be on there, I should say, which is really cool. And so shout out to that too, which is great. And so, a few things I want to throw out there too, in case you are brand new to Kung Fu movies, right? I just want to throw these things out there. These are what I just want to say as my little, just so you know, kind of part of this video. For one, please ignore the damn titles. Some of these titles are just they're just not equipped to carry the weight of how awesome a set movie would be. Some of these titles are just, whatever. And some of them don't even make sense to the plot. Like Kid with the Golden Arm, that's a 10 out of 10 brilliant movie. I don't like the title, and I'll get to that when I get to it. But it's like, it's misleading for one, and it makes you think it's this or whatever. And a lot of these titles sound generic. There's this, there's that, and that. Generic. So don't ignore the titles. No, do ignore the titles. Don't give the titles too much reason to ponder if the movie's going to be good or not. So ignore the titles. That's rule number 1. Please ignore the titles. Don't let a title fool you into thinking generic title equals generic movie, because that's just not it. That's not it. Okay. All right. So number 2, and I'm probably going to lose count knowing how I always get off track with this stuff. But number 2 is, for some reason, a lot of these movies, they make audio sounds for every hit, every block, every kick, every punch, every elbow, every jump, every flip. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I've noticed for some reason when I show people these movies that they're bothered by that. And look, I don't know why they do that. I don't have a clue. But it doesn't bother me. It just is what it is. It's a little interesting. I don't know why every single one of these fights in these old movies, it's like when they fight. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know why they do that, but it's important to know that now, so you know what you're getting into. So that's another thing. Just keep that in mind. Number 3, with these dubs, English dubs, and again, I understand if you don't want to watch them dubbed in English. Me, I have to. I hate reading subtitles. That's just a me thing, all right? You do you. That's just a me thing. I want to be able to hear what the characters are trying to say, even if it's changed from its original, wording. I understand that too, but I just want to be able to hear it and watch it and enjoy it. I'm not too big and worried about, how much different it is. As long as I can hear it and understand it, that's what I need, and I'm good. And so what's wild to me is sometimes there are important things that are missing. Like a lot of times they have characters with the iron skin, where they're iron skin, they're completely impenetrable. You attack them with whatever, whether it's even a sword or whatever, they will not get hurt, but they always give them one weak spot. And I don't know if that's actually based on Chinese legends, or if that's actually just something that they put into their movies. Whatever the reason, I don't care. I love it. But I notice in some movies, such as Warriors 2, amazing 10 out of 10 movie, 1978, I notice they don't mention that in our dub, and that could confuse people. When you see it the first time, you're like, this guy is getting hit by a sword. Why isn't he getting cut or whatever? That's the reason, because there's an Iron Skin character. And sometimes it goes by Iron Lung. There's different names of them and aliases and whatever. But I think that's important to know, that that's something. All right, another thing, another rule, whatever I'm on, I think I'm on 4 or whatever, is what I love that they do with their movies, in Hong Kong movies. And I think this is so cool. I wish they would do that here, and it makes me wonder why they don't. And I'm sure they have done this to an extent, but not to their extent. They take real Chinese heroes and legends and stuff like that, and back from their time, and they will recycle their character, a real person though, that's what's crazy, a real person, and they will put them in a movie and have them do this, which they probably didn't do in real life, but then, and that same character, same name, will be in another movie, and he'll be doing this instead. That same character, same name, and real person will now be in this movie doing this instead. And I think that's really cool. You're giving somebody that you love and honor a different badass movie representation of them in a completely different context every time. I mean, I think that's really cool. The biggest example off the top is Wong Fei-hung, of course. You could arguably say was more famous for his students than himself, because he was a teacher. But just for sake of this video and the movies he was in, obviously he was in Drunken Master 2, also known as Legend of Drunken Master, 10 out of 10 movie, one of the best movies ever made, period. And he does the Drunken Gods style of fighting, and does an incredible Jackie Chan. He's kind of a man-child, kind of an immature character or whatever, and pulls it off great. It's great. All right, but then you look at Magnificent Butcher, and played by a different actor. Now, that actor, I forget his name. His name escapes me right now. But he's played Wong Fei-hung in over 30 movies, and sometimes he goes to events and he just tells people that's his name, even though it's not, which is amazing, right? And so in Magnificent Butcher, he actually plays the role as the teacher, and he's kind of in the background most of the movie, but he has some really cool scenes, though. And then Butcher Wang, one of his students, played by, brilliantly, I might add, by Sammo Hung, does that. And anyway, so it's like, you get my point. There's so many movies where they have a character of a real person with their real actual name, and they put them in different situations. I think that's amazing. I think that is so cool. Could you imagine if we did that with our American heroes? If we did, George Washington, if we did different versions of him doing different things. I mean, come on, that's awesome. I think that's really cool. I think they did something brilliant that it just hasn't been touched on in other places to their extent. I'm saying to their extent. I'm not saying, I know you'll pull up some example, but to their extent, no way. You just heard me. There's over 30 movies with Wong Fei-hung as a character. I mean, come on. We're not even close to that, right? So that's one thing. Let's see. I'm trying to think is another thing I should, for a rule. Let me think here. Man, I don't know. I might be missing something, but all right. So let's get into these movies here. The first one I'm gonna talk about is one that I don't have purchased because again, I can't find it dubbed in English, unfortunately. But it's a 10 out of 10 movie. I'll throw in The Young Master 2, 1980. But no, this one, two of these, right? So Dragons Forever, 1988. This has all 3 dragons. These are 3 of the best actors of all time, period, in all genres. This is Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yuen Biao. It also has a lot of others. It has Yuen Wah. It has Dick Wei. It has Billy Chow. It has Benny the Jet Urquidez. I mean, the cast is freaking stacked. It's got oh my god. But anyway, the thing is, so this movie perfectly blends comedy and action to the point where so much time, not a lot, but so much time will go by where there's no action, where the movie's so funny and it keeps your attention, and you forget that these are the most badass kung fu fighters of all time, that then all of a sudden the action comes back and you're like, oh my God, that's right. I'm watching a kung fu movie right now. I forgot, because of all the comedy going on. And it's almost like a rom-com, a romantic comedy at some parts. I mean, this movie is absolutely brilliant. It has, in my strong opinion, Yuen Biu's best performance ever in a movie by far is this movie. And I mean, just that last fight, his stunts alone, and all the angles, all the camera shots they captured, there's a tiny, tiny list of actors that could have possibly done those flips and landed and not got themselves killed with like what he had to do, So major props to everybody, but him especially for his particular part in that movie. But everybody did their thing. I mean, Sammo was the funniest, and Jackie had the best like individual fight. And then, there's a bar fight with everybody. It's got everything. You got to see that one. And I'll throw this out there too. Knockabout, not an amazing movie, but Yuen Biu's training scene, which is also a workout scene, that is like the most brutal workout training scene I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, you could argue in a different direction. You could say, well, what about, 36 Chambers of Shaolin, Gordon Liu? But what I'm saying is, just for the one training moment, that might be the craziest thing I've ever seen. That's like an insanity workout. That's like something that you used to go buy in the store and pop it in so you could do the workout with. I mean, that was insane. Nobody can do that kind of workout with the jump ropes and stuff. I mean, he's doing push-up on jump ropes and doing flips and stuff. It's wild. I mean, it's very talented, right, in that movie. I had to throw that out there. And I'm gonna mention this movie too, that again, this movie can't be purchased anywhere, not even in its own language, not even in Chinese. Digitally, you can get it on DVD, but digitally, I can't find this movie, period. Warriors 2, 1978. This was Sammo Hung, Casanova Wong, and it has Sammo Hung directing it, and it has Lau Kar Wing in one part. It's just absolutely astonishing. It has maybe one of the most fights in a movie. Don't quote me, but definitely has one of the most fights in a single movie ever, because there's so little time between each fight, and every fight is good. There's no fight that sucks or that drops the ball or that feels out of place or that feels like it's just taking up time. No, every fight is brilliant. And I know more people prefer My Prodigal Son, the other Wing Chun movie that Sammo did, but I gotta be honest, I might be in the minority in my opinion, but I think Warriors 2 is infinitely better than My Prodigal Son. I can understand and respect why people like My Prodigal Son better because of Lam Ching Ying's performance, the story, the traveling that takes place, and all that. But I think Warriors 2 is a 10 out of 10 instant classic. There is no moment where you're clicking on the timestamps on that movie you're not going to see something spectacular. Every fight is great. The comedy is random at times. That was my point. Fifth or sixth, whatever I'm on. Comedy in these movies sometimes can come completely out of nowhere, blindsiding you as the audience. And why they do this, I don't know. I mean, I don't care. I love all these movies, obviously, or I wouldn't be making this. But like, for an example, like in Warriors 2, there's a very serious moment where a lot of their people get slaughtered, like completely slaughtered, like gutted open, like slashed open, right? And there's a part when Sammo Hung, his character, decides it'd be more beneficial to play dead than to try and keep fighting because he's completely outnumbered or whatever, and he wants to do something else. So he brilliantly, as he gets hit and knocked down, he rubs his face on a corpse in front of him, the blood to get on his face, and then he falls over and pretends to be dead. And so it's like, okay, it's intense, it's a serious moment, it has to do with the plot and everything, and the enemy looks at Sammo Hung down there, and he goes, "Hey, fatty, your eyes are still open." And Sammo Hung goes like this. and closes his eyes. And the bad guy then continues as if he didn't just see he was faking his death. I mean, it's wild. It's hilarious and it's wild. And I don't care about stuff like that. But but extreme film snobs and snooty people, if they want to think about stuff like that, I'm just letting you know now. Sometimes the humor completely comes out of nowhere. Completely out of nowhere. Like, you have no idea it's coming. So I just want to throw that out there too, because that was an example, and that reminded me of what I wanted to say. All right. I want to say one more thing before I get into the movies I've actually purchased and stuff. There is something that's been pissing me off. A lot of mainstream sources and stuff, and I understand everybody has their own opinion. I get that, right? But one thing that I do not like, that this actually pisses me off strongly enough to mention it now, is I've seen some mainstream sources, they put kung fu films, I'm talking about ones in the 70s and 80s, they put them in B-movie categories. I think that is like absolutely offensive. I think that is disgusting to say that. I don't think it's fair to call them B, and I understand it's just an opinion, whatever, but I don't think it's fair to call any of these movies I'm talking about a B movie when their choreography is literally better than anything that has been done in the last 40 years. I don't think it's fair to call them B movies. I don't. I think that is offensive. I think that's bad. If you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie. I get it. Nobody can make you change your opinion. That's always going to be up to you and whatever as the viewer. But for mainstream websites to say, that this is a B movie, you're wrong. You just don't like the movie. Okay, you don't like the movie. But with choreography like that, are you seriously that to me? No. You can't call it a B movie. That's offensive. I don't like that. I don't rock with that at all. That's an extreme opinion that I hate. I can't agree with, because these movies have changed my life. They've changed my perspective on movies as a whole. Like, another thing I'm going to say that these movies have done that have changed me a little bit too is, I like to break movies down. I like to be analytical, and not to the point of like extreme where nothing is good because, every movie's unrealistic. Well, yeah, they're supposed to be, because otherwise it'd be boring to keep every realistic part in the movie. Like, how many times do you see your characters go to the bathroom and whatever? We don't need to see that. So, but that's not realistic because everybody has to use the bathroom. Okay, who cares? That's the point of the movies, to cut out the boring and mundane stuff and keep the good stuff, right? But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, when you have horrible plot holes that can be annoying and that can ruin the experience to a degree, unless you're one of those people that just don't care about stuff like that, which is fine too, I get that. But certain things, like, I'll give you an example. If you have a gun to your enemy and you could shoot them, but you don't because of bullcrap reasons, right? Then I'm like, when later on in the movie, I'm like, okay, but you could have killed that enemy of yours earlier, but you didn't. I'm like stuff like that pisses me off. And now I've changed my mind on that because of this. Kung Fu movies have made me realize something. Unless the payoff is better, then it's okay. And I never thought I would change my mind on something like that. So, like, I'll give you a quick example. Drunken Master 2, also known as Legend of Drunken Master, right? There's a part when the Chinese, they get these snakes, and they're so clever and smart. The British soldiers all have these guns, right? And so the Chinese people, they throw these snakes on them. It gets on their guns. Some of them drop their guns. Some of them, whatever, freak out and run or whatever, right? So then, very clever. I mean, they were surrounded by people with guns. I mean, I thought that was awesome. And it's not like I saw that coming or anything. I had no idea. So, awesome, right? And very brilliant stuff. They grab the guns, and they could have just, forced every enemy to put their hands up, and they could have, arrested them, or I'm not saying they would, but they could have shot them or whatever. And instead, he goes, no guns, no, nobody use guns. So instead, they all break the guns, and they don't shoot anybody with them. Now, if this was any other type of movie, I would be like, what are you doing? You know, like that doesn't make sense. Now you're making it more difficult for yourself. You're giving the enemy a chance to win. But the payoff, obviously, was way worth it because you get to see fight scenes instead. And obviously that's better. Okay, so that's why I've changed my mind on stuff like that. You know, the moment someone could have just shot them with the gun right there. Instead, they didn't. And normally that would make me go, okay, well, this character's stupid. Now this movie is pissing me off because it's doing stuff like this and having contrivances and stuff like this and bad logic. Now I've changed my mind. You can do those things if the payoff is amazing, which in these movies, when they do little things like that, it is amazing what the payoff is, right? So I've changed my mind on that. I mean, that shows you how much I love these movies. How often do you change your mind on things like that? You know what I'm saying? How often? I'm just asking. How often, you know? And another thing I'll quickly say before I get into these movies, because I'm remembering things slowly as I talk and ramble here. But when it comes to weapon fights, right? Like sword fights and stuff, I'm not very critical of sword fights, but I find this funny, right? When I go on the internet, whether it's on, video platforms or if I'm just, going on blogs and reading, I look up best sword fighting scenes, best sword fighting duels, and all this. I find it crazy, and maybe it's just because I'm in America, I don't know, but I find it crazy. No kung fu movies come up. They just don't. And so I've seen all these sword fighting movies, and I like them because I'm not very critical of sword fighting. As long as I see them swinging at each other and blocking, I'm good. I don't need to see, when it comes to sword fight, I don't need to see backflips and stuff like that to be, like, enjoying it. I mean, I will, but I'm saying I don't need that for it to be enjoyable. But, now all the Chinese movies I've seen with sword fighting, and they do it way better than us. I'm like, why do these movies not get mentioned? It must just be that they're just not as big over here. That's my assumption. I don't know what else to say. I have to assume that because I don't know what else it could be. And like a lot of people, for some reason in the, I'll say American Kung Fu community online, people always talk about Golden Harvest movies. And it's like, weirdly, a lot of us don't seem to know a lot of Shaw Brothers movies. Why? I don't have a clue. And the reason I know this is because when people ask them the best weapons fighting movies, a lot of them will say Odd Couple, which is 1979, Sammo Hung, directed by him, and Lau Kar-wing. You know what? It is an amazing weapons fighting movie. I love that movie. And which is also a movie I can't purchase digitally. I can't find it anywhere. It doesn't exist digitally. On DVD you can get it, but that's different. Anyway, and I'm like, why is that coming up? But none of these Shaw Brothers movies with amazing sword fighting scenes and stuff. Why does that not come up? And that seems to be the problem. I don't think a lot of them know about them. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get into Kung Fu for many years, so I am no better. I'm just saying, it's weird to me, right? And so when now after seeing all these Shaw Brothers movies, these Chang Sheh movies, I'm like, okay, Odd Couple is a great movie, but it's not in the top 5 even, and people are telling you, no, that's the best one. It's not. It can't be, because of all these ones I've seen, right, in Shaw Brothers with Chang Sheh directing. So, it's just kind of crazy that happens. All right, I'm gonna start getting into these movies now. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna go out of the way and just say this one first. So the John Wick movies. I know that's not technically kung fu. I know. I'm cheating a little bit. That's okay. 1 through 4. I love all of them. I think they've managed to create at this point in time, there could be more, but I'm saying at this point in time, they made 4 movies. They managed to make 4 movies. Not one of them sucks. Not one of them's boring. Not one of them is skippable. And they happen to have creative, amazing action in it. It's gun fu, like John Woo style, but in the modern era with modern high definition cameras and equipment and all that. It's more gun fu, but there is, cool fighting in it that is, separate from just shooting and stuff. And so I love these movies. I recommend everybody sees them. I think they get better every time. It's just insane. You wouldn't think it was possible, but they do. They do. It's great stuff. Keanu Reeves is amazing. There's been people doing breakdowns of watching the whole movie of each John Wick movie in slow motion and noticing details that show that the training he went through absolutely paid off. Like he's gripping the gun correctly, and he's in each individual high action, high octane moment, I'm saying, and like the continuity is right, so they killed it. They did amazing. I just want to say that. I know that's not technically kung fu, but I'm just going to mention that anyway. So, all right, now I'm going to say, all right, next, five. Next, 10 out of 10 movie, 5 Elements Ninjas. This was 1982. A lot of people say this is Chang Shei's last great movie. This only has one of the Venom Mob actors. Well, I'll talk about that real quick. So, the Venom Mob actors, right? The Venom Mob movies. Like I said earlier, when people would have tried to tell me that there are 6 actors that are all incredible and they all work together and they're all just incredible and on par with, all the Golden Harvest actors, I would not have believed you. I would have said, yeah, whatever, sure. But I had to be proven wrong, happily. And so 5 Deadly Venoms, which is that was a major hit in 1978. And nowadays, that movie, its fame has absolutely surpassed every other kung fu movie in, I'd say, probably 9 out of 10 lists online anywhere. That movie alone is so big and so important and so impactful and all that. Now, that all aside, just watching the movie itself, I'm going to be honest, I like it. I do like it. I didn't love it. I don't have it as a 10 out of 10. I don't have it as a 9 out of 10. I think it's really good. I just don't think it's like a must-have. I don't actually think that. But the funny thing is, when I finally saw it, I realized this is how stupid I am. The movie that I thought people were telling me I need to see, 5 Deadly Venoms, I thought was a completely different movie that I had already seen. So I was dragging my feet trying to see it. And that's my own stupid fault. I screwed up there. But I thought it was something else. So it was really refreshing to realize I was wrong. The movie I thought was 5 Deadly Venoms that I saw years before that was not this. And so it was this. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually good. I just don't have it as a 10 out of 10. But that movie sets up all the amazing actors, all the amazing moments and movies that come after that, right? And so all the Venom Mob actors. And so, anyways, back to what we're at. So, 5 Elements Ninjas. This is 1982. A lot of people consider this Chang Shei's last great movie. This was 1982. It only has one of the Venom Mob members in it, which is Lo Mang. And, I gotta say, to be completely honest with you, so this is what I did. I did something stupid. I don't recommend doing this for anybody, but I don't know why, but I did this on the faith of Lo Mang being just an incredible actor and just always giving a standout performance in everything he does. And I ended up buying this movie on YouTube / Google TV without having seen it yet, which is like, I don't recommend ever doing that, but I ended up doing that. I watched it the first time, and weirdly enough, I got to be completely honest, I just thought it was okay. I thought the fighting scenes were awesome. I thought they were gruesome, and they definitely, I could see where the inspiration was for a lot of other movies. Like there's like moments where there's literally fatalities, like in Mortal Kombat. There's literally a moment where he punches him and he goes flying in the air and he lands on a hook in the wall that cuts through him. Like that was 100% something that Mortal Kombat stole. And I don't mean stole in a bad way. It's showing respect and whatever. But I'm saying definitely, I can see why Quentin Tarantino, saw this and shows this to people in his movies. That's been reported online anyway. So, like, I could see that. But I just thought it was okay. And I left it at that. I was like, all right, well, I don't hate it. It's okay. It's not blowing me away. And I remember thinking in my head that the story in the middle act kind of dragged on. That was what happened. Why? I don't know. Then I watched it again. And maybe this is your story too. You tell me. But on repeated viewings, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know why I thought that at all. The middle act is great. The middle act didn't drag. It must have just seemed like it did when I saw it the first time. It doesn't drag at all. It's actually really clever, really interesting, really cool to see how they did all these things, how they managed to sabotage and figure out how to get into this keep, and how they managed to open up that wooden locked chamber in the door and all that. It's great. It's great. I don't know why I was tripping, thinking it was just okay. No, it's like really good. Now this, I don't know if I'm able to explain this properly. Well, any of these when I'm talking about the action itself, because I'm just using words. But I gotta say, this is some of the cleanest looking weapons fights I've ever seen. I don't know what I mean by that, but I'm telling you, it's true. It's like everything is so smooth in this movie. There's not one moment. I don't know. I see it. Words don't do it justice. The point is, this is a bloody movie, but it's not bloody just for the sake of being bloody. It's bloody because it works with what it has, and it's done well. And it has, I'll call bosses, that come in this movie, and they perfectly go where you want to see. You want to see a boss that feels like a boss, and you get that with this movie, absolutely. And the weapons fightings, and you get to see the ninjas. This also went by the title Chinese Super Ninjas, and you get to see, in the beginning they're talking about that this story is based on Japanese writings, real Japanese writings. That's what they say in the actual text of the movie, which is so cool. And then you get to see something interesting. You get to see the Chinese portrayal of Japanese ninjas, which is interesting in itself and so cool to see. So this is the best ninjas movie you'll ever see, period. This is the one. This is the best ninjas movie, period. Hands down. I don't think there's room for any debate. No offense. It's just amazing. So I love this movie. It was worth every penny. All right. So I also own Drunken Master 1, which was 1978. So I like this movie. I don't think it even holds a torch or a candle to the second at all. But I find it hard to root for the characters sometimes. But overall, the training is iconic. Beggar So, played by Simon Yuen, rest in peace to that legend, the father of Yuen Wu-ping. The man that did like 21 movies in a year when he had cancer or whatever, and he unfortunately passed away. Just legendary stuff, man. And so to me, I like his fighting a lot, and his character definitely made the movie for me. And then the villain did a great job. It's good. It's really good. The action is great, and the training is great. But there's a lot of weird, unnecessary stuff, in my opinion, in this movie that just kind of knocks it off of that 10 out of 10 status for me personally. But obviously, I still love it because I bought it. You saw that, right? So, anyways. All right, next movie. Yes, all right. So, the 8-diagram pole fighter. I'm going to be completely serious. This is going to make me sound nuts. But I keep it real. I don't need to exaggerate or lie or pander to anybody. I'm telling you exactly how I feel. The weirdest thing about the movie, the 8-diagram pole fighter, and yes, I know the story behind it. I understand that, unfortunately, Alexander Fu Shang, rest in peace to that legend. I understand that he died during filming and they had to change the character's story and everything. I get that. But I'm just saying, weirdly enough, the first half hour of this movie, as in almost exactly to the second, first half hour of this movie, I don't like. And that's so weird. But I got to keep it real. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't like the first half hour of the movie. I have to fast forward the first half hour of this movie when I watch it. After that, 10 out of 10 movie. Literally, it doesn't stop. And so I don't know why it just I feel like whatever they were trying to convey just came off as awkward. And nothing wrong with being awkward, but awkward as in like I don't know what to think when I see this, if that makes sense. Well, probably nothing I say probably makes sense. It's my own brain trying to communicate to my mouth what to say, right? But I don't know. But after that, it's a 10 out of 10 movie, okay? The monk scenes where he goes and he wants to be a monk and he's training to be a monk and he's training differently than everybody else. And those wolves, dude, like I always say this, like the wolves and that and Warriors 2, the movable wooden dummies, the Wing Chun dummies, and then the what was the other one? Shaolin wooden men, those wooden men that punch. I always say I wish so bad that some of those things existed in real life, like they're shown in the movies, and I would buy them. That would get me to work out so much more to mess around with those wolves, you know. But anyway, I'm sorry. I had to just throw that out there. But that's part of a movie, you know, is to make it a lot better than it would normally be. It'd just be a stationary device or whatever. But anyways, sorry. You know, the passion's coming out here, right? But so like when he goes to the temple and you get to see his transition into becoming a monk, burning in the 6 marks for Buddha and everything, it is so amazing. Like I love their sets. Shaw Brothers sets are second to none. And it's really cool to I'm getting a look into these temples I will probably anyway never get to see. Like I'm seeing exotic landscapes. I'm seeing things that I wish I could go to see. I hope I can one day, but I'm saying I'm seeing all this amazing stuff. And the tone of this movie, like a lot of kung fu movies, they carry the same story of either of revenge, something to do with their teacher, whether they die or get kidnapped or something, and it's revenge. I'm gonna get revenge for my teacher. I'm gonna avenge my teacher. That's and the main character is like a man child, and they need to learn how to grow up and be more mature, and then learn kung fu that comes with their maturity. That's like a very common thing that happens in a lot of movies. Not this one. Nope. Not this one at all. In this one, there is none of that at all. You know, the brother Yang, he goes into the temple. The tone, I'm talking about the music. The tone is so depressing and somber, but you can't leave your eyes. I actually tried to find the soundtrack for this movie. I can't find it in any official capacity for some reason, you know, but I don't know. Maybe I just suck at looking that up. I don't know. But man, it was so cool. Like I love what I saw. And then the one-on-one fight with the abbot was some of the best pole fighting I've ever seen in a movie, period. Then there's the sister Yang that is in the sword fight when she's riding a horse. I mean, it's amazing. And then obviously the ending scene, as should be no surprise, is just beyond words incredible. It's bombastic. It's nuts, but it looks good. It looks amazing. And again, this is, fortunately, this is in the era before computers, before CGI and all that crap. So, you know, whatever they had to do, they did it well. Yes, I understand in a lot of kung fu movies, sometimes they reverse footage. So like if you do a backflip in a scene, it could have technically been a front flip, but they just played the footage backwards to make it look like they did a backflip. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I don't care. That stuff doesn't bother me. The fight looks good. That's what matters, right? That's what matters. And they do a great job. And 8-diagram pole fighter, and the very ending moment, we're left in a sad tone and he's walking away and stuff. Like, I love that. I love that I'm seeing that the tragedy, the irony of it all, it is beautiful. It's just great stuff, you know? Oh, it's incredible. All right. Next one, I know I'm kind of skipping in random order here, but The Raid Redemption, this was 2011. So this was Indonesian, And luckily they got it dubbed over to English, for my sake. No, but this movie is in an era where movies were doing the worst editing of all fighting and gunfights and everything. This era was just bad. The gunfights and fight scenes were just edited horribly. Shaky camera and 100 quick edits in one fight. You see the guy go like this, it edits to another shot, another angle. It's trash. Raid Redemption did it right. They have gunfights, they have fist fights, they have one on many fights, and they have many on many group fights, and then they have like boss fights. It has it all, and it's filmed great. Everything looks good. The fights look real. None of it looks like crap. Every moment is really good. The continuity has been studied on this film that I've looked up, and everybody says it's good and everything, and it's awesome, Another thing I'll say about all these movies in general, the one part of realism that I will, happily omit and not care about is technically a lot of times you get kicked really hard in the face, like in a lot of these movies. I understand realistically you'd be unconscious, like the fight would be over, but instead the fight keeps going. I'm okay with that because obviously I'd rather see a longer fight. So I'm okay with that type of unrealism where it's like, yeah, that guy would have been unconscious after that hit, but he keeps fighting. Huh? But no, I'm actually okay with that. I just want to make that clear. It's another thing. Like, look at Drunken Master 1. You see Jackie Chan's tooth come out when he gets drop kicked in the face. And it's done in one take. So it's not fake. It's not edited carefully to make it look like he did. No, in one take, you see the final boss, I'll call it. He jumps up and he does this drop kick with 2 feet sticking out. It hits Jackie Chan's face so hard the tooth flies out. You see it in the footage. It's awesome stuff, right? So, all right, let's keep going. Okay, Heroes of the East, 1978. This has a very awesome stacked cast. This has Gordon Liu, the man himself. This has Yusuke Kurata, and it has Simon Ewan. That's right, it has Simon Ewan, and it has the director playing his own role in this as well, Lau Kar-leung. And I'm gonna tell you this right now: if this movie had all 10 out of 10 fight scenes, this would be the best movie of all time. I'm telling you that right now. It doesn't, but if it did, this would be the best movie of all time, because I think this debatably has the best story of all time in Kung Fu movies. I believe that. I can say that pretty strongly. This has one of, if not the best stories in Kung Fu movies of all time. So, Heroes of the East, this is incredible. The genius of Lau Kar-leung to flip the script and do something different. Instead of, the year before this, in 1977, Executioners from Shaolin, where everyone else was always doing, okay, the main character is a man-child. He needs to get revenge for his master. He needs to avenge his master, and that's the story. Lau Kar-leung completely flipped the script, and he said, hey, I'm going to do something that nobody does. I'm going to make this movie where the main character, yes, he wants to get revenge, but in the time between that, he falls in love, he gets married, he has a family, he has kids. Well, he has a kid. He's raising a family. No Kung Fu movie was doing stuff like that at the time. Lau Kar-leung said, I'm going to make this a thing. And then he put his own subliminal message about sexism, because his wife was saying that you can't just win using your tiger style. You need to try my crane style too. Crane in flight. And if you do that, you'll be able to win. He wouldn't listen to her. It was this subliminal way of showing sexism in the period or whatever. I mean, it's just the brilliance of Lau Kar-leung is unmatched. Absolutely. And it's not a surprise, because he is a direct descendant of Wang Fei-hung himself. He's a practitioner of martial arts in real life himself. So are most of these actors too. But I'm just saying. So that's why it's not even fair to really call them actors, because they actually do talented things outside of the camera. They're all incredible people in their own right. But anyways, Lau Kar-leung, genius. So Heroes of the East, he comes up with this brilliant piece, right? The movie is so freaking perfect. It starts out as a romantic comedy, because Gordon Liu, he's Chinese. He is forced to get married because of his father to a Japanese woman. He doesn't want to at first. He completely refuses to do it. This movie is almost like a Mel Brooks movie. I'm telling you when in the comedy, it's such a Mel Brooks like movie to me. You'll see what I'm talking about. Starts out romantic comedy. He finally meets the Japanese woman that he's arranged to get married to, and she's very cute. So he's like, yeah, I'm ready. Whatever. They get in all these cultural differences. Their fights start as very immature fights. There's one part I laugh out loud every time where she says that he should fight, her style, which is ninjutsu style. And he says, you like that style so much, why don't you marry it? I mean, really? Really? Like, come on, right? But so the fights start out innocent enough, and then they get real, and then they actually like fighting each other for real. Then they're insulting each other so hard to the point that you can't even take it as a joke. He's sitting at the table. She's sitting on the floor. He's saying, you should join me. She's saying, no, you should join me. And he goes, I don't want to sit on the floor because why do you sit on the floor? And she's saying, because that's what our people do in Japan. We sit on the floor. It's our custom. And he says, well, you know what? In my country, only criminals and scum sit on the floor. That's an insult. There's no joke there. There's nothing funny there. She attacks him. He, whatever, retaliates. And it's like, dude, okay? She gets pissed. She leaves. She goes back to her country. He writes a letter insulting her and saying, you lost the fight. So that means that us Chinese, we are superior, right? So is that the right thing to do or to say? No, but he says it, mails the letter. That letter, she gets it, but one of her Japanese teachers and instructors opens it, and he's offended. He gets the other, I forget the number, I think it's 6 or 7 other Japanese masters in all their different styles to read it, and they all come to China, come to his house, and then the movie no longer has comedy. It is a complete tone shift, which is so brilliant. I didn't see that coming the first time I saw this. Complete tonal shift. And he's scared. He's like, I'm outnumbered. What do I do? This isn't fair, And they go, hey, we're going to make it fair. We're going to battle you one-on-one. Every day you're going to fight one-on-one in one of us using our style. And we're going to prove to you that, us Japanese are not what you say we are because, we're going to prove you wrong when you say that you're superior because you're Chinese or whatever. And so you already, that sets it up perfectly. You know what's coming. And in the preparation for each of those days, he's trying to learn something new, something different to try and help him against the sword fighting, against the karate fight, and against the really big guy that fights. You have to see that scene. It's just brilliant stuff. So the shift, it's no longer a comedy. It's like, how did they do that? They did it brilliantly, right? So here's the thing. I love this movie so much. It is a 10 out of 10 movie. The fights are good. None, like, the weapons fights are 10 out of 10, absolutely, because the things that they can do with these weapons, oh my God. It's astonishing to see. And again, a lot of these are long moments in one take. So it's not like you could say to yourself, oh, they edited that to look good. No, like a lot of these are one take moments where you really see them block each other like 6 times in a row and the camera never paused or turned a scene over. It's just awesome. But I'm just going to say, a lot of the other fights, they're good, but they're not like spectacular, amazing, breathtaking. No. If they were, this would be the best kung fu movie of all time. I say it would. I really do, because the story is so good and brilliant. Lau Kar-leung is a genius on so many levels. Rest in peace to Lau Kar-leung. Amazing, right? So that's Heroes of the East, right? Okay. Project A. This was 1983. This was Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung Yuen-biu, and Dick Wei. Best Dick Wei role, me personally, I would say he's ever had. Jackie Chan directed this too. It's got everything. Again, in one movie, it has everything. It starts out with an incredible bar fight. Just one of the best bar fights ever in a movie. I don't know if you'll ever see a better bar fight. The only close contender is the Dragons Forever bar fight, I would say. That one was really good too, but this bar fight is absolutely astonishing. And then it has the scene where Jackie and Yu and Bu, their characters, they go to this hideout, this criminal hideout, and they fight all these bad guys, and they try and arrest this guy. The amount of wincing I do with my face when I watch this scene, because nobody gets off easy. Everybody gets hurt, hurtled long distances. I'm talking a story down. Some people get hit. Jackie personally gets hit downstairs. His jaw is hitting the stairs as he's going down. And at none of this at any time do they not let you see like the damage that has been done, which is like what makes this even more crazy. And none of these were dummies, because when, like, there's one part where a guy falls, he hits his head on the chandelier shaking, he lands on the ground. You thought, oh, okay, that could just be a dummy. But no, in the same one shot take from that camera view, you see that guy going like wincing in pain on the ground. So it's not even, they didn't even use a dummy. But, it's like, what? Like, it is just insane the amount of pain they had to endure to make this look good. It definitely paid off, because this looks good. This looks too good. This looks way too good. It's awesome. And then there's some comedy with Sammo Hung. There's some fights. There's an incredible stunts. There's Jackie Chan fighting with a bicycle, and it's awesome. And then there's Jackie Chan in the famous clock tower scene. I understand that multiple people did the clock tower scene, multiple stuntmen, but I look at it like this. The point is, someone did that, and they did drop without a safety net or safety harness, but just some, what do you call those things? Umbrella things that broke the fall slightly, but they still got hurt like a crazy ass fall from that. And in one take, you see the whole thing, and they show replays in different angles and stuff. That's the point I look at, not necessarily did the main actor do that or not, Jackie. To me, it's more, well, someone did, though. That's what matters more to me, okay? It's incredible. And then at the end, there's a lot of great shootouts and funny and great explosions, and then an amazing, really good boss fight against Dick Wei, sword fight. And that, to me, that's Dick Wei's best performance. I thought he pulled off a great villain, incredible time. Okay? All right, next one is Clan of the White Lotus. This also goes by Fist of the White Lotus. This is a remake that was made very shortly after the original movie, weirdly enough. But it's not like officially a remake. There are complete changes. But anyways, this is Gordon Liu and Lo Lei. This is oh my God. Lo Lei, this is his best performance. This is his best character ever. This is just iconic. So Gordon Liu is fighting every single battle like the man is on speed. I mean, he is whipping that sword around. He's doing flips, but he has to exert all of his energy possible, which is more than everyone else in the world, by the way. Okay, props to him. And he's doing all that to win a fight. And then he gets in a fight with the White Lotus, which is the priest Pai Mei. Now, this is based on Bak Mei. I might be pronouncing that wrong. It's spelled B-A-K space M-E-I. Bak Mei, or is it M-A-I? I apologize. Look that up. I'm not an authority on any of this. But see, I thought when they were showing how he fights, I thought that was just a illustration by the director. I thought that was just like something that they wanted to do to be cool. But no, see, I didn't know this. This was actually based on legend. This was based on the fall of the Song Dynasty. This is what happened was there was a time when Bak Mei, they renamed him again, Pai Mei in all the Kung Fu movies, but Bak Mei was a real person, and he led an assault that slaughtered hundreds of Shaolin monks. It was like their biggest downfall in history. And in legend, in real Chinese legend, the legend was that trying to land a punch on Bak Mei, it was like hitting air. Nobody could touch him. He was just like, no matter what you do, he will dodge it. It doesn't matter how fast you are, whatever. He dodges it and he kills you. And now, saying that out loud, it might not sound like it's going to work, but it works. In the movie, it absolutely works, though. And they pull off these incredible, where he actually, surprisingly, he steals the show. He outdoes Gordon Liu, in my opinion. Not that matters who outdoes each other, but just so you get my opinion. I mean, the way he dodges these punches and hits and stuff, I don't know how they choreographed this and made it look so good in 1980, because I think that's when this came out. I hear conflicting years, but the point is, before computers, before CGI, this happened. The way that he pulls these off, these dodges and stuff, it's unmatched. It is second to none. Amazing. And not that this matters to anything, but I have a theory. This is in my head. It doesn't mean anything, but I have a theory that the agents in the Matrix might be based off of his performance, because in the Matrix, whenever you try and shoot an agent, they magically kind of dodge everything with super speed. And it doesn't look like magic in this movie, Clan of the White Lotus, but it still shows you just how fast he is, how nothing works, nothing. You punch his robe, and he uses his legs to like clamp onto your arm that you're punching with. And when I describe these fight scenes, it doesn't work. You have to see the movie to realize it's amazing. And what I like is, too, he's an amazing villain. He pulls it off. He is intimidating. He's funny, but not too funny. He's still always menacing. He's intimidating to look at, and he kicks major ass. And he insults his opponents by being like, well, go ahead, try to land a punch on me. And he just dodges everything, but not in a corny way. When I say that, it might sound corny, but it's not. It's like Gordon Liu is going all out trying to hit him, and he can't, because Lo Lei's character, Pai Mei, is just that good. So, incredible stand-up performance. I compare this villain on par with like Darth Vader's, and I'm being serious. It's incredible. It is incredible, and then I always forget every time I watch this for some reason. In between the fights with Pai Mei and Gordon Liu, he has to fight like the guards and the henchmen, and it's like these fights go on. They're not short. They're not 30-second little fights. They're like 5-minute fights with two swordsmen and Gordon Liu. He is like working his absolute hardest to finally win against them. And then he has to fight Pai Mei, and it doesn't go well, because Pai Mei is like instantly like, grab your fist, do this, throw you, block this, you. And it's just awesome. Like, I love this movie so much. It's awesome. All right, next movie, 1978. 1978 was a big year, by the way, for all my favorite kung fu movies. Holy cow. But Crippled Avengers. Man, when I saw Kid with the Golden Arm, because that is a 10 out of 10 movie instantly, and it never gets old, never decreases in value. If you would have told me that there is a better movie than that, out of the Venom Mob movies and Shang-Chi movies, I didn't believe anybody. I tried looking up, because I was obsessed. When I started getting into these Venom Mob movies, I was obsessed, absolutely obsessed. And I need to see more, obviously, because I know how talented they are. And people are saying Crippled Avengers is the best one. And I'm going, there's no way. I'm like, no offense, there's no way that's going to be, but this is before I've seen it. There's no way that's going to be better than the ones I've already seen. There's no way. There's no way it's going to be better than Kid with the Golden Arm. Come on. I had no faith in it, and that doesn't mean anything. I'm just letting you know, just for whatever. It's my video. I do what I want, But anyway, so finally, after seeing this pop up as everyone's favorite Venom Mob movie on the internet for so long, I'm like, all right, I got to bite. I got to come see this, right? And funny enough, this is how stupid I am. I'm going to get a little off topic here, but you can expect that from me. All the way back in, I don't know. But whenever Netflix came out, Netflix had a documentary from 2004 called The 50 Worst Films Ever Made. On that list, there was three of them were kung fu movies. And one of them was Black Belt Jones of Jim Kelly, which I don't think deserves a worst movie ever made list. No. And then I forgot the other one. Shoot. But then, anyways, Crippled Masters was on there, okay? And Crippled Masters, I remember that I saw the trailer and everything, and I thought, this doesn't look like a horrible movie. It looks like crippled people are doing amazing job of, despite what their living conditions are, they're putting in work. I mean, they're doing scenes, like they're doing action, they're doing choreography. I'm like, why would this be? But I remember thinking, that was this movie, Crippled Avengers. Why? I don't know. My brain just kind of tricked me into thinking that's what this was. And so finally, when I watched it and I got a few minutes into it, I realized, oh, geez, that's not this movie. That was a different movie. That one's called Crippled Masters. Completely different. But anyways, now on to this. Crippled Avengers. This is Chen Quan Tai's best performance to me, in my opinion. I understand if you disagree. He's not usually a villain, right? But this is his best performance. This movie is a standalone, absolute bombshell, crazy, amazing, spectacular. This possibly is my favorite movie of all time. I can never pick between Drunken Master 2, Dragons Forever, Warriors 2, Crippled Avengers, Kid with the Golden Arm. It's just, it's impossible to pick a favorite. I mean, it really is, but Masked Avengers too. But Crippled Avengers could definitely be it. I mean, it's that good. As I'm watching this is like one of the last, I think this was the last Venom movie I watched. And no, it wasn't. Okay, no, I'm wrong. But it's one of the last Venom movies I watched. As I'm watching it in real time, in the moment, the first time, I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe this is this good. I can't believe this is this good. I was in shock that it was this good. My brain was overloading with joy because I'm like, I can't believe this is this good. I can't believe this isn't disappointing or not as good as people say it is. It's as good or better. And so Crippled Avengers, right? Starts out, does something, Chen Quan Tai, his family is sabotaged. His wife and his young son are at home, and these people from a group called the 10 Tigers come, and they cut his wife's legs off, killing her, and they cut his young son's arms off. Chen Quan Tai shows up and uses Tiger Style and kills them all. Then it transitions from him getting his son iron arms, right? And thank God it was played by Liu Fang, because he's one of the best villains ever, if not the best villain actor ever of all time, period. Because as big of a guy as Liu Fang is, the man can do backflips on command. I mean, it's just insane. It is just insane what that man can do. And anyways, so you see, what I like about this movie that's kind of cool, then he gets the 10 Tigers together, and he takes their shackles off, and he has his son cripple them to get revenge for what they did to him or whatever. And at that part and the first part I just said, the action is just very simple. It's just straightforward. Hit, down, hit, down, hit. It's no backflips. There's no incredible wall jumps, trajectory, kind of crazy choreography. It's very simple, very simple. And I kind of like that, because it's like it plays a trick on you, making you think that, okay, you're not about to see the best choreography possibly frickin' ever in cinema, because the first two fight scenes, like I just said, are very simple, you know? So that's what's awesome about it, on top of everything else. And I'm going to say this right now to get this out of the way. The only complaint somebody could have, not me, I don't have any complaints about Crippled Avengers. I don't. Not a one. Not a single one. But what somebody could say as a complaint, you have to have an extreme suspense for disbelief to believe that what happens to these characters in their crippling, unfortunate, paths that they go through is like there's no way they could fight on the level that they do. You have to have that suspense of disbelief to think that they could fight like they do. So I will say that it doesn't affect me at all. I don't care, but I'm just letting people know if that's something that's a thought that's going to come up. I like to be as fair as possible when I'm reviewing movies, even if they're movies I absolutely love that I would fight somebody for saying they don't like them. But so getting that out of the way, right? It has the whole Venom mob in there, with the exception of Wei Pai is not in this one, but he did the fewest amount of Venom movies anyway, so that's not like a big surprise. But so Lu Fang and his dad, Chen Quan Tai, they go around the town. Anybody that insults them, even if it's just a minor, tiny inconvenience, such as bumping into them in the street, they cripple them. And they cripple them in different ways to each person, just to be cruel. So you go from the beginning of the movie going, I feel so bad for this man. He lost his wife. His son was crippled. To then going, I don't like this guy and his son, because they're going around crippling people. They're no longer good people. They're complete villains. The whole movie, they're villains. There's no part where they're not. And they do these horrible things to these people. Then these people, and Lo Mang, the one that you do not think is going to have anything bad happen to him, does, and it's like, man, they all get crippled in different ways. So one of the best, most incredible, possibly the best actor of all time too. I mean, it's impossible to there's such a high debate, but he's easily one of the best actors, best choreographers, best action people ever, period, is Kwok Choi. And also in American, he goes by Philip Kwok, but Kwok Choi, that's his name, is absolutely second to none. He might be the best kung fu actor, period. He might be. It's so hard to say because of everybody that there is, but I mean, oh my gosh, he's incredible. And so he gets blinded. That's his crippling. He gets blinded, so he can't see. Okay? Then Lo Mang gets deafened. He can no longer hear. And they force him to drink this thing that makes him mute, so he cannot speak aloud anymore. And yeah, I'm sure that's not a real thing, whatever. Who cares? I'm letting that go, man, because the movie was great. So that stuff's not going to bother me like it normally might, depending on what kind of movie it is. If this wasn't an action movie, that might be a point where I'd say, well, that doesn't exist, or whatever. But not for this, right? Then you got Chang Sheng and his character. They tie this torture device around his head, and it makes his brain shrink, basically, so then he's at the point where he's thinking like a little child, like a toddler. But he still knows his kung fu, which I'm glad they kept that as an element. But he's his mental capacity has been restricted to that of like a little kid. So it's like talking to him, he's like immaturish and childish and whatever. And okay. And then Sun Chen, he gets his legs cut off, and then he has to get that replaced with iron legs. And he is easily one of, if not the best kickers, or leg fighters, they call them in kung fu movies, ever. His kicks are just insane. I wish I could kick like that so bad. I don't know how you can bend your knees twice before landing when you do a single jump. Like, and you can put your leg way up here, like Ken Lo does at the end of Drunken Master 2. Like this the kicks he does is just insane. Anyway, so they all band together because they've all been crippled, and they go and see Chang Sheng's character's master. He trains them for 3 years, they say. Now, this training scene has one of the best things I've ever seen, period. I don't know if there will ever be a better single moment to show someone, if they're not a believer in Kung Fu, than this. So, Kwok Choi, who is, again, He's a tough guy. He is the acrobatic master. The guy needs nothing, no head start. He can backflip on demand. The guy is incredibly acrobatic and flexible. He can, on demand, he'll just do a backflip. He'll do 10. The guy doesn't need, like, to bounce first and get it right. No, he just does, like, in all of his movies. It's just awesome. And if that wasn't enough, this is what they made this man do. And when I did my research on him, I found out, okay, he's Taiwanese. So poor guy, he couldn't even speak Chinese when they were in Hong Kong. So he couldn't talk to like Lo Mang and stuff. That was from a Lo Mang interview I listened to. And so that's kind of sad, right? But he was also in the army. He lost 3 of his fingers. He can't feel 3 of his fingers. That's so sad. And I'm not surprised he was a circus performer, which makes perfect sense now that you see how acrobatic he does, to the point where it's like the dude's like an alien. But it's better because this was in 1978. This is before computers. This is before they could fake stuff like this. Then when they'd show it in one take, then you really know this is real and stuff. And because he's blind, he's playing the character blind. He has his eyes shut. They throw these rings. He has to take the rings, and this is in one shot. This is no trick editing. With his eyes shut, he has to grab these rings, do a backflip in midair. He takes those rings and puts each of the rings through his legs and pulls it all the way up his legs before landing on his feet in one take. What? It's just, and there's more after that too, but that alone is astonishing. That alone is absolutely mind-blowing. And it's just, oh my God, I can't believe like what I see. Every time I see it, it's gonna give me goosebumps that this is actually happening on screen, and that this wasn't trick editing. This wasn't done on a trapeze wire. This wasn't done with CGI. This wasn't done in a makeshift fake, rubber mat or something. This was freaking done because he's that good, right? And I'm not saying the other Venom mob actors don't do stuff like that too, but he definitely does the majority of the crazy, hard to believe you're seeing stuff. That's him. That's why he's most people's favorite Venom mob actor, to be fair, right? So the other training scenes are great too, but that one is a standout, just mind-blowing spectacle. Okay? Then all these fight scenes are awesome. I'm not going to spoil any of it, but I'm just going to say this. Every fight scene is excellent. They're all long. No fight scene is just like really 1-2 quick and it's over in 30 seconds. They're all really good. They're all brilliant. They're all perfect and long-lasting and acrobatically amazing. Liu Fang as the villain, he's just as acrobatic as the heroes are, and it works. And you're watching these fights going, you know what? That's why I love these movies. These fights are better than real fights. They're better than real fights. They are better than fights in any other type of movie. They don't hold it to what this level of caliber of talent has. Sorry, I'm going to talk about one more scene. I am. In this movie, there's another really great, every scene is amazing, but there's one also really great I want to talk about. One of the best suspense building scenes I've ever seen. This is really cool. So they're planning a trap on Guak Choi's character, who's blind, okay? But they already saw him fight. They know he can fight. They know that his blindness doesn't hinder his fighting ability at all, because he's kicking ass like he always does. Lo Mang, who is upstairs, now remember, he is mute and deaf, so he cannot yell and whatever. He is seeing all of these enemies set a trap in the hotel in the bottom floor for Guak Choi's character, the blinded character. So what they do is they have him stuck where he is in they wait till he gets in the middle, and they have him surrounded by like 40 men with swords, but the boss keeps them all quiet, and there's a guy on the outside who has a bow and arrow thing, and he is going to shoot him first, and as soon as he gets shot, then they're going to start fighting. So they're all standing there waiting for him to show up, so the intensity is there. You're feeling suspense because you already know the plan and the plot. Okay, Guak Choi shows up. He's almost to the middle. Lo Mang, who's upstairs, starts trying to get his attention. the boss sees Lo Mang trying to get Guok Choi's attention. So the boss jumps up to that second floor, starts fighting with Lo Mang's character to get him to not ruin it. And at the last second, Lo Mang kicks a table down, and the table lands right in front of Guok Choi, where luckily the projectiles hit that instead. And when that happens, then Guok Choi rolls out of the way and takes out his staff and starts just whooping ass, going crazy. And I think that is one of the best setups, the best suspenseful action scenes of all time. Absolutely, it takes suspense to the highest degree possible. It's just a blowout. It's awesome. That movie is a must-see for everybody. I don't know how somebody could not like it. All right, continuing here, I got Fearless Hyena. I love this movie. I think like the weapons fighting at the end is really good. I like how Jackie is just able to dodge all these spears and stuff, but it looks good. None of it looks stupid. It looks good. It looks amazing. It just shows the talent that he has. All right, next I'm going to talk about The Victim. This one, 1982. This is a standout movie on my list of 10 out of 10s for one simple reason. This movie does not have like amazingly big budget. It did not have these incredible landscapes or these giant sets or anything, and yet it still is a 10 out of 10 movie with 10 out of 10 fight scenes. So I thought, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? And so Beardy, who is just a powerhouse to be reckoned with, he was brought in by Sammo Hung because Sammo Hung saw how good Beardy was in other movies such as Warriors 2 and stuff, and Knockabout, and he sees that even though Beardy does not practice Kung Fu, he has a trained eye where he can learn Kung Fu choreography very fast just being on the set. And he's proven it time and time again. He's in some classics. He's in some all-time best fights. So that alone is worth mentioning because that's insane. I mean, what the heck? And in this movie, The Victim, Sammo Hung is kicking ass, and it looks good effortlessly in the beginning of the movie. There's 3 fights in a row, one with a 3-section staff, and it's all great stuff. And he's just effortlessly kicking ass. Then he meets Beardy, and then he can't beat Beardy, which I thought that was really cool how they flipped it like that. He went from unstoppable, like laughably, like he has a hand behind his back and he's still kicking ass, to, oh my God, he can't match Beardy, right? Then the plot unfolds and there's some drama and stuff, and then they kind of reluctantly help each other in a fight, and then they go separate ways, and then they end up actually, reconciling and actually being trained and actually fighting as a team and whatever. And the ending fight is awesome. And I've read reviews, I've read stuff online, and I gotta say, this stuff, I love what I'm reading. So someone was saying that he showed this movie, or that this movie was shown to him by his Kung Fu instructor, and he said this is his best movie of all time because it has the most realistic looking stances and footwork and stuff like that. That is just awesome. I mean, how much more proud can you possibly be of your film, Sammo, to be able to say stuff like that, It's just awesome. And yet this movie had no big sets, no incredible stunts. It's just good fighting with a plot that keeps going, a little bit of comedy and stuff, but overall just nonstop great fights. So I love that movie, The Victim. I wish there was an HD version. It never was restored, so you're stuck at the original quality, whatever. Okay, Drunken Master 2, also known as Legend of Drunken Master. What can be said about this movie that already hasn't been said? It's one of the best fighting kung fu movies ever of all time. Lau Kar-leung and Jackie Chan and Ken Lo, and everybody's just in perfect form here. You get the best showing of drunken style fighting, drunken gods in this movie, and it's great. It has everything. It has comedy. It has just incredible fighting in one-shot takes where you see a lot of things happen in one take, not separately edited. There's a lot of parts when Jackie's doing this drunken fighting. There's parts where he almost gets stepped on because he's purposely, for the fight's sake, laying on the ground drinking. there's one part where, like, I watch it in slow motion. He is so close to getting kicked in the face, and he's able to get out of I mean, these men are incredible. They're absolutely incredible. And then you got the Ken Lo fight at the end, which is easily in everybody's at least top 2 or top 3 fights in movie history of all time. And then you also get an amazing fight of like 40 on 2, where Jackie Wang Fei Hung and, of course, Lau Kar Lung's character, they're fighting with 40 men that are coming into this building with hatchets, like little axes and stuff. It's just incredible stuff. It has everything. I don't know how somebody could not like this movie. I don't know. It's just perfect. It's got it all. All right. Masked Avengers, 1981. This movie is awesome, awesome, awesome. It's got the Venom Mob in it again. Not all of them. It is sadly missing Lo Mang, which is rare for when they have an ensemble of Venoms. It is missing Lo Mang, but and Pei again. But this has just possibly the best weapons fighting in a movie, period. I think it is. If I really think about it, I think this might be the best weapons fighting in a movie ever. I mean, everybody just shows the talent level is beyond anything else in this movie. They are literally bragging not with words, but they're literally bragging at how good they are with weapons. They're taking one hand, throwing an entire spear trident that is as long as I'm bad at this stuff, but it's like a 7-foot trident, and they're one hand making it spin in the air and catching it. They're throwing it over their neck and making it roll and whatever. It's not even part of the fight yet. Like, they're coming down an elevator doing that just to show off. Like, they're that good. And then when they're actually fighting, there's a lot of cool booby traps and violent deaths and surprise moments. There's plot twists that are good. There's intense moments that have you pondering stuff. There's really, really dark moments that are like disturbing, but that's kind of the point. And then the plot with the masks and stuff, it all comes great. And then you got Guok Choi in one of his best acting performances ever here. And again, just the amount of backflips, the weapons fighting, it's stuff. It's just incredible stuff. I mean, it is an amazing movie. All right, Rumble in the Bronx. I have this movie. I don't consider it a 10 out of 10, but what I will say is, ironically, it has, I would say, maybe the best use of Jackie Chan using props in fights. And I like at the end when they're in that giant vehicle thing, you get to see a lot of the city destroyed and stuff, which is something I've learned about myself through these movies. Is another thing I've noticed I really love about movies is if I'm seeing stuff on screen get destroyed, not CGI where the computer makes it look like something that wasn't even there destroyed, but like you actually see like windows smashed and things broken and busted and cars ruined and crushed and whatever, like explosions. When I see stuff like that, I'm like, I appreciate the effort, and I like seeing cool things. Like, I like viewing spectacles in a movie, because what are we here in the first place for a movie, to be entertained. All right. The Raid 2. What can be said about The Raid 2 that hasn't already been said? I mean, it's one of the best movies of all time for obvious reasons. 2014, sequel to the first Raid. I mean, it does everything the first Raid did, in my opinion, but just does them better. It has every type of fight. It has great weapons fights. It has great characters. It has a little bit of shootouts, not as much shootouts, but what it has is, like, there's no moment where the fighting isn't intense. Every fight is intense. Nobody's just invincible in this movie. And it has like one of the best car chase scenes ever. It does it all. It has it all. It's just brilliant. I love it. I love every second of it. And, you have to see this one. It's in modern day cameras, the Raid Redemption and the Raid 2. It's like they were filming this back in the golden era in the late 70s and early 80s in China. But it's like, pretend they did, but they happen to have these high-def cameras now in the 2010s or whatever. That's how I look at these films. It's like they actually did it right for once in this era. You know, that's how I look at those. Okay. All right, now I'm going here. Okay, The Flag of Iron. I love this movie more than most people. The Flag of Iron, which is 1980. That's right. This movie was made in response to The Young Master from Golden Harvest, Jackie Chan, 1980. It is no relation to it in plot or anything, but it was made because The Young Master was a major box office hit at Golden Harvest, so they wanted to make another movie quick, so they made this. This is loosely a remake of another movie called The Duel, but there's very little similarity. Anyways, The Flag of Iron, the problem is this is a long movie. I don't mind long movies at all, but this is a long movie, and a lot of this is like, let's get on with it, let's move the plot along a little bit more. And, Liu Feng does a good job as a sly villain role and everything. And what I do like, though, is when the fighting starts, I mean, it's just awesome. Guak Choi, he's down on his luck, and there's people being sought out to kill him, and it's all these people that are dressed in ordinary clothes. Now all of a sudden you find out are actually assassins, and he's the target. And it's just these kick-ass moments, these incredible moments that like there's this part where they have him all trapped between the wirings of these weapons or whatever. And because he's as flexible as he is with his talent, physical talent, he's able to untwist it with them and use it against them. And describing it sounds stupid because I'm using words. You have to see this to see what I'm talking about. And then the fighting with the flags is incredible stuff. And the Spearman is a great character. And, the thing I'm going to spoil this, but there's a part when, I'll just say one of the main characters dies. You have to imagine when you see this, he gets stabbed with the flag, and then he does a backflip, but he lands on the ground, like on his chest. Do you know how do you train your brain to not only do a backflip on command, no running start, no wiggling first and then doing it? No, just doing a backflip, pretending you got stabbed, doing a backflip, and then not landing on your feet, but actually landing more than a full rotation because you're landing on your chest like you're dead. I can't imagine that because, your brain is trained to stop yourself from falling, obviously, and your brain is trained to land. How do you do that? How do you film that? And that was a concrete ground. You see it in the rest of the fight and everything. Like, how? Like, that stuff is just awesome. Sorry. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay. And we got, all right, Kid with the Golden Arm. This movie, I didn't think anything was going to be able to possibly top it out of Shaw Brothers, out of the Venom movies. I just didn't. I think Crippled Avengers, and I go back and forth, but this is so good. 10 out of 10. Long story short, this has every Venom actor in it. Every single one of them, which is just fantastic. It's got them all. And this is non-stop weapon fights. That's all you need to know. Non-stop weapon fights. A little bit of comedy with the drunken fighting. A little bit. But mostly it is non-stop weapon fighting awesomeness. And large-scale battles awesomeness. And little plot twists here and there. That's all good and cool. And I like them all. And there's elements of horror in this, which I think really shine because it's what separates it from sometimes other movies that kind of drop the ball on that, whatever. But the elements of horror, I really like. It really makes it work. They take a break for a second, so they all kind of sit down and wait while they're taking the gold, and then two of their members are dead because they sat on these little poison needles or whatever they were, and all of a sudden now the movie is a horror movie. Like, I like that. I like how they did it. It's great stuff. And it's such an untouchable film. It's perfect, man. I will say, this is why you can't listen to the title of any of these movies. Okay, so the Kid with the Golden Arm, he's not a kid. Golden Arm is the youngest member, but he's not a kid, not even close to a kid, right? And he is in the movie. He's a key role in the movie, but he's in the background most of the movie. He's not on screen for the majority of the movie. So why would they call it him specifically? It should have called it, the gold transfer, or the gold heist or something. I know I'm being silly when I say that, but as far as what the movie is about and stuff, right? And I was so misled by the alternate language of this trailer. I thought the plot was that Golden Arm was a kid who had golden arms, and that made him be able to fight like magically. And so he was protecting the gold from the bad guys. Do you see how wrong I was misled with this movie? That's not even close to the movie, right? But anyways, that is a must-see. The last fight is so long. They are hitting each other so hard. None of it looks fake. None of it. They don't fake flinch or whatever. It's just perfect fighting. It's a long, awesome fight. Very strategic. They're both trying to figure each other out. It's just, it's incredible every second. All right. Mad Monkey Kung Fu. This movie, I'm not going to say it's a 10. I'm going to say it's like a 9 out of 10. Lau Kar Long. This movie has Jing Hao. Give me 1 second. This movie has Xiao Ho. Sorry. And Lo Lei. And Lau Kar Long. This has besides Lo Lei, because I already said their best performances, because this movie, I think, I could be wrong, obviously, but I think this movie has the record number of backflips in a film. Backflips specifically, I think this movie has the record. This has the most acrobaticness of any movie I've ever seen. Not that the Venom don't certainly do a lot of that, but I think this one just happens to have the most. The problem with this movie is there's a lot of stuff that is just thrown in there that we don't need, really. But when it comes to it, the fights are either funny and entertaining, or very serious and sad, like full of despair and sad things that happen. A lot of like problematic events for their lives happen and stuff. And then just besides that, like I said, incredible footwork, tons of backflips, like so many backflips. Like I'm like, how is there that many backflips? It's just crazy. So I had to buy it, even though I don't consider it a 10 out of 10, because it's a spectacle for sure. All right, Police Story 1. What can be said about this? This is one of the best movies of all time, period, no matter who you are. It has everything in it. It has some of the best stunts, period. It has some of the best fights. It has entertaining shootouts. And then aside from that, it just has bits of comedy that were stolen by so many movies after this. This was 1985. So many movies stole things that this movie has in it. Like, tricking the girlfriend into doing this and telling the girlfriend you're someone else as the cop that's trying to protect her. Like, there's so many movies that are American movies that stole things from this. But the last 15 minutes might be the best finale of all time, period. And the music cues are so good. The stunts are incredible. The way that they actually use them all is incredible. All the props and stuff. I know I said Rumble in the Bronx might be Jackie's best use of props or whatever, but no, this one is better. But I'm saying I do really appreciate what he did in Rumble in the Bronx as well. But no, this movie does outdo that. I mean, it's just, you cannot deny Jackie almost died doing a stunt, and that's why they had to film it with 3 different angles. They had to pay them all to let them keep filming because Jackie refused, as the director, he refused to not have everything he wanted to put into this movie, and he absolutely succeeded because this stuff is beyond words. My words will never do justice to any of these movies, this one included, right? Okay, let's see. All right, I only got one more of my purchased movie libraries to look at. And what's nice about these apps, too, is you don't need a subscription to use these apps. They're free to use for whatever you purchase. And you can even download the movies onto your phone from the app as long as you've had them purchased and stuff, which is awesome. I'll mention really quick, Dragon Lord. I don't love the movie, but I will say it has 2 of the best sports scenes in movie history. Sports related. 2 of the best scenes in movie history, in cinema history. One of them, the shuttlecock match, which is like hacky sack, where it's not allowed to hit the floor and you have two nets and goalies and whatever in between. It took over 1,000 takes, and it went over budget, but he did over 1,000 takes because he had a vision. Jackie, as the director, he had a vision. He said, no, we're going to make it look like we're that talented that we can make this never hit the ground. And we're going to do it where every shot is like really dynamic and you're going to headbutt it sometimes. You're going to kick it with the back of your foot sometimes. You're going to catch it with your foot, then throw it, hurl it from your back of your foot over your own shoulder. And then you're going to, front kick the hacky sack into the goal. I mean, dynamic, awesome, incredible stuff. Okay. Anyways, I just want to throw that out there because I did buy that too. All right. And then the last one of these, the purchases I got, Fist of Legend, 1994. This is Jet Li and Billy Chow. Billy Chow, standout performance, his best performance in my opinion. He plays an incredible villain in this one. And it's another really cool Chinese versus Japanese movie. And a lot of moments in this one too where someone says something and you go, okay, that's your perspective, but that doesn't make it right. Kind of a thing where, it's like, well, hey, your people did this, so that's why I feel this way. And it's like, how do you argue with that? That's their perspective. It's great. But anyways, aside from all that, nothing to do with the movie, but I just have a theory. To me, this is Jet Li's best movie by far. It's not even like there's a close second. I like other movies of his, okay? I love Fearless. I love Hero. But this movie, I'm telling you right now, Once Upon a Time in China. But this movie is so far above every other movie he has ever done. By far, it isn't even close. I'm not going to say like embarrassingly far, but it is. There's nothing else even close. This is a 10 out of 10 movie, and he made it that with his talent. But I will say, I think the fact that he did that good, this movie was that good, but it happened to come out the same year as Drunken Master 2, I think that overshadowed it. I think because of Drunken Master 2 being as amazing as it is and being even better than Fist of Legend, I think that's the only reason this movie isn't higher in most people's, lists or whatever. I think it was overshadowed, and I think that might have hit Jet Li's career a little bit, or maybe I'm wrong. It's a theory, okay? It's just a damn theory. I could be wrong, but just something I think about, all right? I wanted to share. So, Fist of Legend, it's an incredible movie. So many fight scenes. It has one on many. It has one-on-one, and it has, one-on-one fights that actually have meaning, that are not just random encounters, but that actually have meaning. It has to do with the characters resolving conflict, moving the plot forward. It's just awesome. Now, the Jet Li speed is just, oh my God, like Jet is what he is. He is a jet. I mean, it's incredible. And I love, like, there's so many individual moments you could pause the screen and go, how did he do that? Like, there's a part when he like rolls like he's going to do a cartwheel. He stands himself up with his palm on the hard ground, uses his leg on the same side. So this is my left arm. He uses his left leg to up in the air, kick his opponent, and then he rolls himself back up to his arms, or to his legs on the floor, feet on the floor, on the ground. It's like he did like the most effort possible to do the kick, the hardest way possible. He landed it. It looked good in one take, and he made it work. I mean, it's like, what? Like, the stuff like that is just insane. And then of course, like, even the fight scenes he's not in, like when he's gone and the Japanese are coming to arrest Chan Zen and they're attacking the shrine and stuff. That stuff is awesome too. Oh man. And then the final fight with Billy Chow is absolutely one of the best fight scenes, period, of all time, hands down, no debate. Billy Chow does a standout performance here. He was well deserved of finally getting like a main character role, because a lot of times he's just like a random nameless henchman, like in Dragons Forever, for example, and Paper Marriage. But here in this one, no, he's there, and he is showing and proving that he's well deserving of what he's doing. And That fight scene, I'm sure you've seen it, but I'm just saying it's incredible. It's nonstop action. It's it's trying to strategize and figure it out. They made him unrealistically somewhat invincible, where you can punch him so many times and you see him getting punched, and he's unbruised. He's not hurt or whatever because it just keeps happening. I think that was a symbolic representation of what China was going through at the time. I think that's what they were going for. And these are things I read about, right, when I'm looking into this. And it's brilliant. I mean, it doesn't look bad. If it looked corny, that would be different. It doesn't, though. It looks great. There's a part where he kicks a tree and the tree falls down. And that sounds corny, but when you see it, you'll be like, oh, that's actually really cool. you know. And the fight before that with Yusaki Kurata is really cool because they're fighting. He bludgeons his eye. So Jet Li says, "Wait, we'll make it fair." They both put on blindfolds. They fight blindfolded, and that might sound dumb, but it's actually cool. And what's cool about it is as they're trying to figure out ways to attack each other when they can't see each other, and nobody cheats either by peeking. It's even more cool because then you start to realize, wait a minute, I know this is just a movie or whatever, but they actually had to act that out on screen, on camera, when they were blindfolded at the time. It's like, then you start to realize, oh my God, this is even more cool than it already was and stuff. And they made the fight really fun, really dynamic, really interesting, and just everything, man. Like, Fist of Legend is one of those movies, like I said, 10 out of 10, Jet Li's best movie, Billy Child's best movie. There is never going to be another better Jet Li movie than this. It just, sadly, this, to me, and this might not, maybe sadly is not the right word, but it's just like, I'm going to say that anyway. Sadly, to me, no other Jet Li movie even came close. It just didn't. It never happened. None of them possibly touched it. It was just too good. So, awesome. All right, I've gone through all of the ones that I have purchased. Like I said again, Dragons Forever, I absolutely also contend as being a 10 out of 10 movie that I wish we had so bad digitally for purchase. Well, we do it in Chinese, but digitally you can't get an English dub. And then Warriors 2, which is 1978. There are other ones too, of course, but I'm just like, those ones are what I would call 10 out of 10 must-haves because of how good they are, just visually speaking. So I love Kung Fu films. I love what they've done. I'm so mad at myself that it took me so long to finally get into these movies. I'm glad I finally did. And, like I said, there's other great movies too. Like, this thing is with for example, the Venom mob actors, they have other movies. Like, I've seen Daredevils and Invincible Shaolin and The Rebel Intruders. I liked them. It's just, I didn't, what they had was great action, great fighting, but the plot around it was just not as engaging for me. And it's like, I've seen better versions of those fights in the other movies that I purchased, that I've shown you, that I mentioned. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's other great movies of theirs, but there's other movies of them that also have great fighting that other people, that you personally might like, that I don't have, or you might like better than the ones I do own. But to me, I think the ones I own are 10 out of 10 must-have movies, besides the few that I specifically said are like 9. But anyways, thank you for listening. I'd like to know what your favorites are, favorite actors and actresses as well are too. And, there's so many great stuff out there, and I'm glad I finally got into this stuff, and I'm glad I didn't hold back. And it's like, for some reason, I'm telling you, I was kept on Golden Harvest. Nobody told me about Chang Sheh. Nobody told me about his movies. Nobody told me about the movies. And I'm glad I dug deep, and I'm like, there's got to be more great Kung Fu stuff out there. And there was, obviously, as I explored. I mean, look at the year 1978 alone. It's mind-blowing. There's so many movies in just that year alone that are 10 out of 10, So thank you, everybody. Like I said, this is something I've learned myself is, now my favorite kind of movies are ones where I'm visually being just entertained, as in I'm seeing things actually happen on the screen that are not stupid CGI things, but actual things going on. And I'm seeing fights where a lot of things are happening, where this was done in an era before computers could have could have digitally created this, but instead this is authentically happening. And sometimes you even see visual injuries that actually hurt or hindered the actor on screen from this moment. And I'm going to say one more thing before I end this video that I've surprisingly never heard ever before on another YouTube video. So I'm going to say this now, which is, what's one thing that I notice about specifically the Venom Mob movies that I love that nobody else has said? And I'm amazed because I always think I'm going to hear this from somebody, but I'm amazed. There's one thing that nobody's mentioned, and that's this. And that's what gives these actors a possible edge over other actors and other groups and other companies, is this. I notice a lot, and I do mean a lot, of Venom Mob, specifically Venom Mob ensembled kung fu movies, is they have very long fight sequences in one take increments. And what I mean by that is like a crap load of things happening, like hard to do, acrobatic, skillful things done in one take, in one moment in these movies. And like, I'll give you one example. In Kid with the Golden Arm, when Liu Fang as Silver Spear is fighting Long Axe and Short Axe, Shang Shang, there is, I at one time I actually counted, I think I counted 8 times where they have a long, and I mean long, like noticeably long, single take in that fight. And at no point in that fight is it a boring, simple thing to film. No. There's one part when Liu Fang keeps trying to stab Shang Shang's character with his spear, Silver Spear, and Shang Shang 4 times in a row does a backflip by holding onto the spear and doing a, like, instead of like dodging it, he dodges and grabs the spear, does a backflip, dodges, grabs it, does a backflip. He does it 4 times in one take, not edited, not, cut and then shown in this angle, so then you could logically assume that they probably filmed it again or whatever. No, in one take. There was, I think I counted 8 times in that fight alone where there is long, uncut sequences of one shot takes of action. I mean, that's something the Venom Mob actors definitely have over everybody else in Kung Fu. Now, does that mean that automatically makes them the greatest in Kung Fu? No, of course not, because there's a lot of elements you need. But that is a big one that I'm just amazed at how many times I see this. In every movie I've said, Masked Avengers, Flag of Iron, Crippled Avengers, and Kid with the Golden Arm, there's so many moments, long takes within one fight scene, uncut takes where there's no editing, no whatever. And Shang Shi, the director, is so incredible. Sometimes he's even zooming in and zooming out on these things. I'm like, if I'm trying to capture footage like of these fights, I'm not going to zoom in on nothing, because I'm not going to, attempt to possibly ruin the footage by doing it wrong. Keep in mind, this is 1978 here. And that man is just so good. I mean, he's brilliant is not a good enough word. He's just a masterclass at what he does. And he's got masterclass actors. Actors is not even the right word to say about any of these people, because they're beyond acting. I mean, they're practitioners of Kung Fu. Like, actors, it's almost like insulting to say. But technically speaking, I'll say actors because they're on the screen acting. But I had to mention that because I've never heard that said before for some reason. But I put that together in my head, and I'm like, other people, you have to notice this. You have to notice that. Long takes, complicated takes of backflips, side flips, weapon blocking, of, cocking your wrist backwards to catch a thing, a weapon, while then doing some kind of a crazy, hyperextended roll onto your opponent or while you're fighting and trying to disarm them or whatever. But in one take, Shang Shi and the Venom Mob, they've got that on the rest of the Kung Fu industry. I'm telling you, the one-shot takes that they get are just astonishing. That even the biggest hater out there of action films or Kung Fu films or whatever, they would have to give credit to that alone, because that is something that is just magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I would love to hear your opinions. I would love to hear what movies you love the most. And I'd like to have debates on stuff like this, too. What am I wrong about, in your opinion? Or, what would you like me to expand on or whatever? But, anyways, thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care of yourselves.